Monday, February 5th, and the Dome Foamers podcast is back. I'm your host, Christian Kruger. As always, I'm joined by Neil Mieski and Brian Dorton, and we're just lifelong Astros fans that love to talk about the Astros. So, boys, let's go. All right, episode 38. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
We took a little week off due to the lack of news and our schedules with all of our work stuff and kids stuff, and we are back for episode 38. Our title sponsor is Two Gringos Chupacabra. That is the number 2, gringoschupacabra.com. You can get on there and order their stuff, put Dome 15, and they will still do the 15% discount on the best rubs and seasonals. Here is the fan favorite that we will do on a weekly basis. They're still going to do for us to send out to someone that does something on social media, whether it be subscribe, make a comment of some kind, give us feedback. But it's Two Gringos Chupacabra. Their stuff is awesome. We love it. If you listen to this podcast on a regular basis, you know we do. That is the number 2, gringoschupacabra.com. Check them out. Well, we took a week off and then a trade happens. Now, not a big trade, but that is so typical of this time of year in the Astros. So let's rehash it real quick and just give thoughts. Not a major trade. They sent an international pitcher who I believe was in single A, Carlos Espinoza, to the Angels for left-hand hitting Trey Cabbage, 6'2", 205 pounds, 26 years old, has a ton of power, can play first base and outfield. Athletic guy. I've watched a bunch of videos on him the last couple of days. I want to make one thing clear, because there are sites out there that like clickbait and want you to think that guy's going to save the world. He had 142 strikeouts and 418 at bats last year in AAA. So there's a contact issue. That's now when he makes contact, he can hit it. He can hit it a long ways. He has a minor league home run of 487 feet. He did play in Salt Lake City, which there's going to be some
kind of
elevation.
flies a little bit there.
Yes, it does.
That's interesting.
And when a division rival wants to give up a guy like this for an international pitcher, kind of tells you something.
We've had enough.
I will real quick before I go to Neil and then Dorton. I will say I like it because we need someone that can back up first base in the event that Dorton's brother doesn't perform very well, or he gets injured. So
nor do we even know if your other brother is even going to make the team.
Correct. So that's all. I mean, that's basically, he hit 30 home runs, stole 32 bases. I saw an Astros website say that he's a 30-30 threat, and I went, really? Because he did 30 and 32 in AAA.
It'd be great if he did.
I mean, dude, I would take 2020. But I mean, what they're doing is they're trying to fill out the bottom of the roster, try to find lightning in a bottle for a year or two. So Neil, I'm gonna pass it to you first after I said my piece. So thoughts on that? What you think they're trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, Cabbage is a body. I mean, he's a guy that maybe pushes Singleton. Maybe he's the backup guy, a little bit more versatile. Outfield wise, you're talking about maybe it's Jolks or Cabbage. So I think it's just Dana Brown bringing in low money. I mean, it's costing us near nothing for this guy. And like you said, maybe it's lightning in a bottle for a year. It rejuvenates his career. I mean, because, I think his stats, where did I see it? His stats in the major leagues, that's 208, right? 553 OPS with 1 homer, 3 doubles, and handful of RBIs and
22 games.
22 game sample, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, not saying he's whatever the most amazing guy, but again, I think this is if it doesn't work out, I don't think you've lost much. I think it's a risk worth taking, and again, we need some bodies. We need some guys in there that can potentially play for us. I think you're talking about Jokes, Singleton, Matakevich, all those guys that are, what's the difference in some of those? Well, here's another guy. In my mind, that's kind of who we got. Just another guy in the mix that can potentially show what he's got. And we've talked in the past a little bit about Melton and Loperfido and their time frames and how we prefer, right, if those guys don't make the jump just yet. And this may be a guy again that just helps keep those guys down there, develop a little bit longer, and buys them some time and doesn't force the Astros' hands to pull those young guys up when potentially they're not ready.
That's fair.
All right. Yeah. Jordan, anything you want to add?
I mean, no, I think Neil said it perfectly. We're paying next to nothing for this guy. I have zero expectations whatsoever, but it's fine. I mean, like Abreu came in last year. I had high expectations. I mean, I remember we were sending that spray chart of his that was overlaid over Minute Maid, being like Abreu might hit 90 home runs this year on that left field porch.
Right.
And there were times he couldn't tie his shoe and couldn't get out of the dugout, We were
hoping for 9.
Yeah, I'd be great. How about this?
Well,
I'm happy if Abreu hits above the Mendoza line. I'm happy if he hits 10 home runs, and if his backup can do marginally better.
We're going to get into that when we get closer to the season. But I want to say something about Abreu. I just want him to walk into the batter's box without the count already being 0-2 as he walks from the on-deck circle to the batter's box. It seemed like he walked from the on-deck circle into the batter's box and it was already 0-2. Okay, enough about that. So, so let's just throw this out there. Let's say Cabbage hits 220, plays 40 games, hits 8 bombs, 20 RBIs, steals 6-7 bags. I mean, can John Singleton do that?
No.
I'm not convinced either. I'm not convinced Singleton's going to hit 220 anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's competition. I mean, look, the dude could ball out in the spring, or the dude could be terrible in the spring, or anywhere in between. So you're right. It's not. It didn't cost anything. Very little. It's very little financial cost. I don't want to. We reacted to the Hader signing because it's such a big deal. I don't want to overreact to a small trade like this, but it does have me think that maybe there's not another move out there unless we get wowed by, bringing someone in for, that's still on his first year contract, basically. I don't know. I don't want to overreact because, I mean, like I said, you can be approached for a big deal tomorrow, but it screams to me that, okay, maybe Hader was the move, which I'm good with, right? Yep. And I was hoping maybe that we would just blow right through the second tier of luxury tax and get another bat or something, but who knows? We'll see.
I mean, Singleton. I mean, what we're really talking about, in my mind, I think this has way more to do with backing up Abreu than a corner outfielder. I mean, I think.
Well, yes, but I think the Astros like the versatility.
There's no doubt. No, there's no doubt.
Singleton has no versatility.
No, and you've got Dubon, right? Who's versatile infield, outfield, but there's got to be somebody behind first base. I mean, we
Yeah.
can't assume Abreu is going to be just fine and will play 162 games. So who's the next guy, right? I mean, who's the guy
It,
helping him
if
along?
if I was again, he could he could flop in the spring training. But if I'm David Jana Hensley, I'm like, hmm, not a good sign for me,
Sure. Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And now he could go out there and out hit him and outplay him in the spring. But I think the Astros, Neil, to your point, is they like obviously left-handed bat. They like he does have the power and he has the versatility. And now let's just go see what he can do. And he has options too, by the way. So he might not
Right.
start on the roster, or he might start on the roster and be moved down. I mean, he has some options. So there's the trade cabinet is a wait and see deal during spring training. One thing that I did want to segue to is a minor league rival, going to be a rival, who I believe made the move of the offseason so far, is the Orioles, who I've coined and others have too. We've talked about it, who I think are the next Astros.
Right.
Went out and traded for Corbin Burns, who I've absolutely loved. I wanted the Astros to sign him or trade for him, I guess I should say. He has one more year of control. So it's a 1-year deal. There's already rumors. The Orioles go and, I mean, seriously, they go sell their team. Someone buys them. And before the ink is dry, the new owners go trade for Corbin Burns. Like, talk about awesome if you're an
Getting
Orioles fan
busy.
right now.
Yeah.
Like, they've done nothing the last 2 years, and their team is constantly improving and getting younger, and has their farm system is unreal.
Yeah.
And the ink's not even dry, and they go and trade DL Hall, who we've talked about on this podcast, someone that I was possibly interested in for a controllable left-handed arm. Joey Ortiz, a shortstop, and then I think a draft pick for Corbin Burns. Why we're bringing this up is that, to me, makes the Orioles the favorite for the AL East. The thing they lack is pitching, and now they can slot all those dudes down, and now you got a bona fide ace because his stuff is off the
30.
charts. Yeah, it's off the
30.
charts. It's just a matter of him. Last couple of years, had some injuries, but his stuff is off the charts. I personally believe the Orioles are going to try to sign him this year, like right now, to an extension. I mean, why not? They're going to be good for a while, and hope they're going to spend money. I mean, for the Orioles, they should. And what is Milwaukee doing? Are you just like giving up?
Throwing in the towel.
Yeah. That's what it seems like.
So
Yeah.
thoughts on that? I mean, would y'all say right now, without knowing what the next 6-7 weeks is going to be,
Well,
Orioles got to be the favorite in the East, don't they?
not just the East. I mean,
Oh, agreed.
it may be the AL favorite going in. And we all knew last year when those guys were facing everyone in our first round of the playoffs. I guess they played the Rangers, right? And I mean, that was the team that you really didn't want to play. You didn't want to match up against those guys. And
they are still young. However, they are real good.
So
They are Dorton. However, I mean, it's Adley Rutschman's third year. Gunnar Henderson, who just won Rookie of the Year, will be his second. You're fair. Santander, you've got Mountcastle. Those guys just mash.
I mean,
But then you look at
good.
You look at their prospect list. They've got the number one prospect in the world, Jackson Holiday. They've got like number 11. They've got like number 18. They've got like number 30. I mean, they're loaded. They're going to keep bringing guys up. And they have not only they have prospects to trade, because I think they're going to make another. I think they're going to find another pitcher. They also are their cap space. They've got like $100 million in cap room. It's unbelievable. Now they've been terrible for a while, as we know, but I swear they're it's a lot like the Astros were before they got good.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and you've been saying that since early to mid to early last year.
Yeah.
You've been saying like the
Well,
Orioles are legit.
they're loaded, man. I mean, they're just gonna keep bringing dudes up. Um, to piggyback on that, I I'm hoping. I don't expect Looper Fido. Neil, you brought him up. I,
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect him or Melton, especially Melton, but I don't expect Looper Fido, who's probably a little more major league ready, to make the team. But I would love for them to be up in the second half or June, because they can run, bring energy. Again, um, this team is getting older.
Mm-hmm.
It always reinvigorates teams when you bring up the young guys who are chomping at the
Yeah.
bit, who can play and be. And Looper Fido can play second, first, all the outfield positions, can run, hits from the left side. So he's going to be the one to watch in the spring, see how he does. Because he's that guy that I would love to see them bring up and just be on the bench, play a couple times a week,
Sure.
and bring some energy and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, if I hate to say it as simplistic as this, but if they're better, they should be up. But I know that doesn't always necessarily mean you get brought up at that time.
Right.
Again, maybe we figure out some things on some of these other guys. Like I said, Jolks is the main one. Who I mean, guys, Jolks played it regularly for us last year.
I
Early on,
know.
I mean, remember, there's no Brantley out there, and so, uh, again, we'll make do with bits and pieces here, and if we've got to wait on those guys to marinate another year, then so be it. If they're not ready, they're not ready. I mean, you don't want to necessarily, like you said, Melton being our number one prospect, but Lupafito. I mean, there's something to these young guys who get their chance and get to sit up there and intermingle, and they bring something to the club as well. I just don't, I don't know if they're ready. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're anxious to find out. That's what spring training's about.
Yep. Yeah, you'll find out because they're going to play. They'll play a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's move on to my favorite topic of the night. We've talked about this a bunch on multiple podcasts. It's never too early, and we're just going to do just talk about just the batting order.
Oh, all right.
That's it. We
Yes.
will
Let's
obviously
do this.
revisit. We'll revisit this before opening day, but the thing about the Astros is there's not a whole lot needs to be that's left to be known on the lineup, starting lineup. So, not what you would want, not what our former manager would screw up. What do you think our new manager Joe Espada is going to do? Okay, so we all have our opinions, what we would do. What do you think Joe Espada is going to do with the starting batting order? And who wants to go first?
Sure, I'll go.
Okay.
I'm going to say you're not going to see. I'm going to just guess. Obviously, I don't know, but I'm going to say you're not going to see a whole lot of changes in the top part of the lineup. I think. I mean, obviously, you got Abreu. I'm Altuve leading off. I would think Breggy. I think Jordan. This is where again is Jan Air 4? Do you put him that high? And then, I mean, I don't know where Espada believes the righty lefty stuff. So, I'm not sure what to think about what to do with Tucker. And I know what I know what your philosophy is. I know you're saying to put Jordan second.
Yeah, but remember,
Wait.
you're right. Absolutely. But I'm saying, what do I think Espada's going to do?
Right.
Not what CK wants.
Right. So I can see.
Oh,
I can see the top five not being much different than it's been.
Well, so then who do you have four, or who do you think would be four?
Tucker. Sorry,
I think,
Neil.
well, no, I think he's going to do the righty lefty gig. And so I'm going to say, a Brave. I'm going to say he's going to start off there. If it's rotten, it's rotten, and then he moves down the lineup. Um, Again, it could be very easily Jan Air, could be 4,
Well, you're
possibly.
thinking, so you're thinking a spot is going to do this, right?
Yes, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, I'm just saying, I don't think it's going to be the drastic change initially. So 5 is Tucker, 6. Who we got left?
Diaz. I mean, there's Pena, there's McCormick, there's Myers.
So I'd go
There's
backwards, right? So 9 would be Pena.
No, that's surprising. You go backwards. That's shocking.
8 would be Chaz.
What? 8?
I'm trying to think who's left. Who am I missing?
Dubon, Myers. Who do you want starting in center?
Where's our DH?
I mean, sorry, in left. In left.
Yeah, that's the question, I guess. Who is our DH?
Well, so
who's our left
on,
fielder?
right? Who are you
Chaz.
starting in left?
And so
I
you
would
got Myers.
So I would assume in current situations that Jordan is going to start more in DH, Chaz is going to start more in left, and Myers is going to start more in center currently.
All right, so we'll go with Myers.
Or
So
Dubon.
we'll go Myers, Dubon. Yeah,
I'm with Dorton. I mean, I'm with Dorton. I would rather play Dubon, but
one's a GD Gold Glove winner.
He is.
I'm gonna go ahead and put that out there.
I cannot argue that because he did.
The other is Trade Bait, who didn't even get. Never mind.
So okay.
No, I don't disagree with you.
So let me solidify this. I'm gonna go Altuve, Bregman, Alvarez, Yanair, Tucker. That's 5. 6 would be.
Wait, you're going Yanier at 4?
For the time being.
Tucker.
6 would have to be. We'll go Chaz. 6. Wait. Abreu 6.
Yeah, you're forgetting Abreu.
Chaz 7. Good God. Probably should have thought about this a little harder. And what does that leave me? Son of a Pena and Myers. But am I missing somebody else?
No, I mean there's your 8 and 9.
Did I have 7? Oh, 7 was Chaz. Yeah.
Yeah, it's either Chaz or Abreu at that point.
Yeah, I don't know where to put Chaz. I don't know where he's going to put him.
All right. And
Jordan.
Kruger, I'm going to step on your toes here.
Don't butcher it like I did.
Yeah, that was butchered.
Before we even move on, Neil, is there a think about the order that you want, not the one that you think that is gonna go out on the first day. Because I have a very specific order
that you want, or it's going to come out. Remember, there's 2 different things here
that I want. Okay. That I want. I'll go while you think of that, Neil. Here, I'll say what I think is going to come out. I think it'll be. I mean, I think it'll be pretty. It's not going to step on too many toes. I think it'll be Abreu. I mean, it'll be Abreu. It'll be Altuve. It'll be Bregman. I think it'll be Jordan. I think that's done and done. I'm putting Tucker or Yanier 4, but I agree. I think Abreu, depending on his spring, goes in there at 4 or 5. And then Tucker is right behind him. So interchange Tucker and Abreu at 4 and 5. I think Diaz at 6, McCormick 7, and then Dubon / Myers 8 and Pena 9.
Yeah.
And here's where I keep things the absolute same. Pena at 9. And I loved it. I loved it. Even last year when he started
he's great at 9.
when he started, I'm not going to say he started getting really good. I'm going to say when he started not sucking at the plate in the 9 hole, how awesome was that?
Agreed.
And the fact that like there is potential that like he could actually turn into rookie Pena, like it would be incredible, right? So there's my projected
That's what
day
you.
one.
Well, that's what you think is going to be rolled out.
Yeah.
All right. We'll go back around. I'm going to see this is what I think is going to be rolled out by Spada, and I'll tell you why. Altuve, Bregman, Jordan, Tucker at 4, Abreu at 5, Diaz at 6. I don't think Espada is going to put the pressure to put Diaz at 4 to start. He's going to have a ton of pressure managing the pitching staff. They have a hard on. I mean, they have a liking to Abreu for some reason. So it's going to be Abreu 5, Diaz 6, Chaz 7. I agree with you, Dorton. I would put Pena at 9, but I think Pena will be 8, and I think Myers / Dubon will be 9.
Okay.
The Tucker, Neil, you know how I am. I would prefer righty lefty, but those two guys hit lefties so well. They've proven it, and they're our best hitters. So
yeah, the more at bats makes sense.
Yeah, have Tucker protect Jordan.
And
guess where Jordan's batting in my lineup?
Guess where he's batting in mine?
2, 1.
the new cleanup.
Ding ding.
You know, like
number 2. We Kruger and I just put up the number 2.
Yeah.
I just
more bats.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just the mindset of I don't care as much about lefties, righties as much as I care as who's doing well.
Yes, but I do care about that. But those Jordan and Tucker have proven.
Oh,
it doesn't matter.
No, I'm not talking about those two specifically. I'm just saying in general. Like, I don't care if it went like Altuve, Tucker, Jordan. Like, here's our best.
If Tucker's
3.
on fire, put him at 2. Absolutely.
Because if you move them up the lineup, they hit more.
Yes. Shocker. Weird.
Whoever's hitting
it's weird like that.
Whoever's hitting the ball real hard, real far, should be batting 2.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just, who's productive? Who's getting the job done?
You want my maximize all metrics lineup?
Sure.
All right. Maximize all metric. Go.
Altuve, Jordan, Tucker, Bregman, Diaz, Chaz, Abreu, Myers / Dubon, Pena.
I love it. I'm all in on that.
Will that out so let's say it one more time.
Fine.
Altuve 1, Jordan 2, Tucker 3, Bregman 4, Diaz 5, Chaz 6, Abreu 7, Dubon / Myers 8, Pena 9. Will that out 162 times and see what happens?
Sure.
Please?
I hate that Dubon / Myers is one person. I hate it. Let's just put Dubon out there and trade Myers at this point.
I don't disagree with you. I'm gonna make a prediction. Myers does not finish the year as an Astro.
I agree.
And I think some of that depends on some of this outfield depth.
100%. No, well, that makes it a whole lot easier, no doubt.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you trade Myers, who's our backups? I mean, is it
backups? Where do you mean? You mean at center?
In our outfield.
Well, Dubon's going to be the center fielder or Chaz.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's the thing. You still have Chaz who
Sure.
played center. He's proven it. I mean, he
Sure.
basically made a World Series catch
Oh, he did.
to ice the World Series. Now, I will say, Myers, defensively, the metrics show that he's better. I'm not convinced that, but no, he's faster. Fine.
Better than Jordan?
Chaz.
The defensive
better than
metrics.
Chaz. Sorry. Yeah,
Yes, the
better than
defensive
Chaz.
metrics show that he's a better defensive center fielder. Fine.
No, Chaz is. You start Chaz because of his offensive productivity. Period.
Yeah, but you can have Dubon in center. You can have Chaz in center. So Neil. So then at that point, if you're trading Myers, then you're going to bring up an outfielder. You're going to bring up Luper Fido. You've got Cabbage. Jolks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if we get rid of Myers at some point, we better feel good about what's behind that. Because again, these guys, they're not going to play 162 games a year. And the more that we're wanting Jordan out of left field, so you're saying maybe a third of the games he plays in left.
Well, if you're playing, so let's think about crunch time, right? September/playoffs. You want Jordan in left only at home. Again, in like if you have a choice in a larger ballpark, larger left field, you're going to want to go with Chaz or someone else out there. Because
Sure.
I mean, just defensively, that's what you want to do. So he's your DH. He's not a horrible. He's not a horrible left fielder. He's just not.
No.
You don't want him out. You don't want him to get hurt.
Right.
And
yeah, it just saves him. And that's my point.
I still, in that playoff game when he went down up against that wall, it was a matter of like, well, there goes this season, and I hope he's not dead for most of next season.
I'll say, and next season.
Yeah.
And that's just my fear is that, yes, if they were all healthy, yes, we're perfect. But name me again how many seasons Jordan has been, injury free. So I just, while we don't love Myers, right now I'm saying we need him. I mean, we need that fourth, fifth outfielder or what? I mean, he technically could be
I agree. I agree with you because, like you said, I mean, what happens if Pena gets hurt? Who plays short? Dubon.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if Altuve goes down again? Dubon. So I mean, Dubon's not. I mean, he's going to be the first injury that happens. Most likely is. I mean, he's going to be in the lineup at some capacity. They'll move pieces or whatever. But I mean, he's your back. He's your backup right now in center, second, and short.
I was going to say, yeah, we're counting him like he's three guys.
Yeah.
And so if there's, I mean, Dubon's going to be, I mean, he's going to play a bunch. But I also have this fear, too, of which Dubon do we get? And that's probably a conversation for down the road. But he's had one good season.
I think, yeah, I agree with you.
I'll say this. He was serviceable 2 seasons ago, and he was above expectations at the
serviceable at the plate.
Serviceable in the field.
I've never had an issue with him in the field ever.
Yeah.
He's I don't know if he was quote unquote serviceable 2 years ago at the plate. But his glove and arm are legit.
Sure.
No doubt.
And he worked his tail off to get to have the season that he had last year. So I don't want to cheat him on that aspect. I just don't know that's again, we've got this image of Dubon as if he is on the brink of an all-star appearance. Versatility, yes. He is a huge asset for us.
Hey, you know what? At the first half of last season,
he could have been.
The fact that he wouldn't, I think, let's rewind this tape. Like, I
Yeah,
believe
sure.
I believe I was wondering why he's not on the All-Star ballot.
Sure.
Like,
You did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that far fetched. No, I agree. I agree. Um, real quick, because this could go down a rabbit hole, and we probably need to talk about this during the season or lead up to the season. I don't know what our percentages were, what we talked about with Bregman re-signing. Mine are in the negatives. He's gone. And here's why. Here's why. I don't know if y'all seen this. He has changed his Breggy Bomb salsa to Wild Soul. Don't know why.
Change the name
Something
of it.
with change the name of it. It's now got a son, and like he's from, he grew up in New
Arizona.
Mexico. He's
Yeah.
moved to Arizona. That's a little telling to me. The
I
Breggy
mean,
Bomb.
but does he own that, or is he just the spokesman for it? I honestly don't know.
No, I mean, I think
I mean, is
he
that
owns.
his, like, the namesake and spokesman, right? Does he have
Yeah,
like full ownership in this? This is
I,
his
no,
his
I don't
business?
I don't know, but I know from a good source who we all know that he went up and changed the name to the salsa, and you can't do that unless you have majority percentage rights. On top
Mhm.
of that, he's big into the horse racing side of things, and he moved all those operations out to where? Arizona. So
Well,
Ryan's on the wall there.
you
Yeah.
never know.
A-
You never know.
And
I'm gonna remain optimistic that this this dream is gonna just continue indefinitely. All right.
yeah, I don't think it's very high either, but I do predict him to have quite the year. I mean, him being in a contract year, um, I think
I hope he
I don't
does.
know, just
I hope he does.
I
protect it.
just and I'm not trying to. I mean, I just put pieces together, and newly married, new kid, stuff like that starts happening. There's some stuff moving in place. Jordan, I hope I'm wrong, dude. My kids, when they were young, they wore number 2 for that guy. Like,
Mm.
I hope I'm wrong, but there's pieces that aren't
I
adding up.
I'll tell you who's going to be the most upset. Christy.
She's a
Mm.
big Bregman fan.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
There, I
Yeah.
don't know that. I mean, you look at Springer and Correa, Cole, whatever. I don't know that there'll be one that hurts like this one. Seeing him in another jersey.
Um, I agree with you, Neil. That one will sting. Springer stung, but it's been okay because he hasn't been healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife in the background, she hears me and she goes, "Springer stung." uh,
Yeah,
so
Yuli didn't sting that bad. I got
mm-mm.
over Yuli fairly quickly seeing him in a Marlins. Bregman in another jersey is going to be tough. And Springer did. But I
Yeah,
think Bregman will hurt more. Just personally, I'm sure
no,
everybody has their
sure.
own thoughts on that.
I
But
tend to
yeah,
agree. I tend to agree. I tend to agree with you.
so
All right.
it'll be fascinating.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm going to tease a couple of things. Then we'll get to the throwback player. We've got some guests lined up. I'm not going to say who. We got a little confirmation going on, and we're working on a couple of things. But we're excited about it. We're going to do a little bit of a Astros. We have more Dome Foamers material next week. We're also going to do a college baseball preview for the Longhorns, Aggies, and the Texas State Bobcats, who are all ranked preseason, which is cool. I'm a huge college baseball nut. I know
Love it.
Dorton's loves it too. Neil, he says that his knowledge is down, but we're going to get him there.
Yeah.
Um, but man, I'm looking forward to it. It starts next weekend, not this weekend, but the following. So there'll be news coming out on that for next week. But we're going to move over to the throwback player of the week. And as we've done in the off season, we do a little rotation. So tonight, Dorton has got it. And obviously, our throwback player of the week is sponsored by Victoria Equipment Auction and victoriaequipmentauction.com. Kenny and Kevin Griffin do an awesome job. If there's anything you need to put on consignment, let those guys take care of it and handle it for you. They do an awesome job. Their next sale is March 2nd. They do one a quarter, and they do a great job. And you can call Clay at 361-935-2444. And those are the great people that sponsor the Throwback Player of the Week at victoriaequipmentauction.com. So, Dorton, fire away.
All right. So today's throwback play isn't a player. It is a bit unconventional, and it is someone who I've heard the name, but I've never dug in. And once I dug in, it was a moment of, how is this guy not a movie? How is there not a movie based on this guy? And we're talking about Judge Roy Hoffines. So Roy Hoffines, he's the guy who brought the Astrodome and all things Astro, including Astro World, everything. He brought it. He brought it to Houston. So I'm going to give you some background on this guy, just bullet points on some of the stuff that I've read, and it is of a movie. All right, here we go. He was a part or full-time Colt 45s or Astros owner from 1962 to 1975. He saw a winning record twice and did not care. Couldn't care at all. And that's fine. Rumor was he smoked 25 cigars a day. 25 cigars a day, had a 57-inch waistline, and cufflinks, quote, as big and loud as cymbals. He drove a long Cadillac limousine that he drove because he, quote, couldn't find a chauffeur willing to work his hours. Done.
Wow.
He graduated from high school at 16, passed the bar at 19, and was a state legislator at 22. Kruger, what were you doing at age 22?
Taking care of you two.
I sure as heck wasn't a state legislator. He was a judge. He was a Harris County judge at age 24.
Wow.
He's
Did he grow up in Houston? Did he grow up in Houston?
Yep, grew up in Houston.
Okay.
Largest shareholder in Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus.
I've heard that.
Largest shareholder. Quote, he made P.T. Barnum look like 14 miles of bad road. Which,
wow.
What? He was inducted into the 2020 Houston Astros Hall of Fame. So he which it seems about fitting after like digging in that 2020 would be the year that he got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Just a messed up year. And this guy was nuts. So what I want to dive into is, so he was a part owner of a very young Astros, Colt 45s and Astros team that weren't good. However, he had 3 residences over that tenure. And these are fascinating. So the first one is a place called Morgan's Point, which is just kind of southeast. I don't know if you've heard of it, southeast of Pearland, where I am. But if you've heard of Kemah, it's
of course.
It's about 2 or 3 miles northeast of Kemah.
Okay.
And it is if you were anybody in the 40s, 50s, 60s, you bought giant, and I mean giant property and houses there, right there on the bay. So it's right there on the Galveston Bay. And so it is full of these historic luxury houses, one of which was his. He called it the Huckster House.
And clear blue water.
Not so much. Not so much. However, this was, this was also 50 years ago. So a little bit different. Side note, on Morgan's Point, there is a straight up White House replica. There's a house that is a White House replica on the water.
Wow.
Still standing today, vacant. Like no one, it's privately owned, but no one lives there. It's nuts. It's crazy. So that's where his like fun place was. Another place, he obviously had a place in River Oaks and, did all that. But then he had something called the Celestial Suite, and it was at the Astro World Hotel. Do you guys remember? Have you heard of that? Yeah. Remember that? I think it was before our time. I think right across the street, right?
Yeah. Catty corner kind of. Yeah.
It's I can't remember what it's called now. It's the
I remember that place. I remember it.
I vaguely recall it. So it's the Astroworld Hotel. The penthouse there, he decked it out. It was from 1969 to 73. He actually lived there. After he moved out, they started renting it just as a straight up penthouse. It went for $2,500 a night in 1973. $2,500 a night.
What's the inflation transfer on that?
Yeah,
no clue.
Really,
no clue. It was so lavish. Let me tell you this. This is a quote. It was so lavish. Elvis stayed there and said, quote, "It's a bit gaudy for me." Okay.
That's awesome.
But the big one that I wanted to talk about was he lived for almost 5 years in the Astrodome.
That's incredible.
Which I learned today. I had no idea. He lived in the Astrodome. His primary residence was in the Astrodome. It was in right center field, and he had basically he took 25 suites as his own and just made it into his apartment. Okay. And in this apartment, he had a barbershop, obviously. He had a mini golf course. He had a billiard parlor. He had a puppet theater for his kids and grandkids.
Oh my.
He had a movie, like a private movie screening screen. He had a bowling alley. He had the private terrace that had tables that looked out. But every single one of these rooms had a window that overlooked the field. So no matter where you were, you're looking at it.
Which is awesome. So would this be below the old time scoreboard? Because you said right center
field. It would have been it would have been below it.
Remember the old jumbotron. What do you want to call it? The scoreboard lit up with the bull.
The wall.
Yeah.
So it'd be below. This would be below that,
it would have
right?
been right below that. It'd have been right below that.
Wow.
And it was just 25 suites. They ended up. It was in like 1975 or so. He moved out. And he went ahead and just demolished it, and he put in 10,000 seats where he used to live. So where he used to live then went 10,000. I mean, we probably sat somewhere near there at some point.
Sure.
In our outfield, like 100%.
So that tracks, and I'll need to ask my dad. So before I was born, which was 78, my dad worked for a engineering firm and helped design the seats that they put in the mid to late 70s. So that's funny. I'll have to ask him that it might be those exact, because they
have been putting
they were outfield seats, because I remember him telling me that. So that might be exactly what they are.
That's incredible. That would be incredible if that's the case. I mean, okay, I can't even. So you guys and listeners at home, you guys just need to go out and Google Hoffhein's Ast- Astrodome apartment, right? Just Google it, and images will just start coming up. It is the most
I'm looking
opulent
at some
thing
of
you've
them
ever
right
seen.
now.
It's the most opulent thing you've ever
Hmm.
seen. The crazy part is the one of the guys that he got to come in and design them was the set director for the original Willy Wonka movie.
Mm,
If that tells you anything, like
right.
this is how freaking nuts it was. And so, and one of the things I was telling you guys before we started here is one of the bars
Yeah.
in his apartment, because there were many apparently. One of the bars was on a 20-degree angle, like tilt, like the floor was tilted at 20 degrees purposefully, and it was done so just to mess with people. After having a couple of drinks, they would get off the stool and they couldn't walk. Another one was if someone asked, and this is all rumor, there's no anything here, but apparently if someone would ask, if someone he didn't know or the people there didn't know would ask where the bathroom was, they would point them into the direction of a basically like a fake elevator. And it's, it's right there. And all the elevator would do was shake and it wouldn't go anywhere. And then the other side of it would open and it would just be a cobweb filled room just of nothing.
You would love that, Dorton. You would love
I
that.
mean, how crazy is that? Like, who
Yeah.
is this guy?
Nut job.
Well,
Who is this guy?
when you own a team, you can do those kind of things. That's fascinating. I
So
didn't know all that.
I'm looking at a picture right now. So I was curious about the exact location too. So you've got the old scoreboard that span from left center to right center. So just when the scoreboard ended is basically where his
Okay.
living room began.
Okay. All right. There you go.
That's awesome.
Oh, and one of the things that he had back there was he had a presidential suite built with the seal with the only reason that he did it was so LBJ would come.
Mm.
That's it. And LBJ and Ladybird came several times to Astros games.
That's
Like
crazy. That's good
because
stuff.
he had to get express permission to put the presidential seal in the apartment or in the suite. And so, when you're this guy, I guess you can just call the president, and he did.
Yeah.
And LBJ was like, cool. Yeah, sounds good. I can't wait to go to some games and stay there. And he did.
I think you're right. Why is there not a movie?
Why? This is when I read that he
Well,
drove his own
for every
limo. He drove
and
his
for
own
every
limo because he couldn't find a chauffeur who would work the hours.
yeah, and
Yeah.
a U of H forever. Their basketball arena was called the Hoffines
Hoffines,
Pavilion
Mm-hmm.
which is
forever.
now which is now no longer called Hoffines. What is it?
Probably Tillman Ferretta, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Fertitta. Oh yeah, Fertitta
Fertitta,
Center.
yeah, yeah. I figured.
Fertitta Center. You betcha. Oh, by the way, he was also the mayor of Houston twice.
Can you imagine what goes on of being the mayor of freaking the city of Houston?
Oh
Pass. Hard
no,
pass.
I can't.
Hard pass.
But he was obviously
Hard pass.
well connected. I mean, for a number of reasons. But wow, that's crazy. Good stuff. I learned stuff. I didn't know all that, so that's crazy. That was a good one. Well, boys, we're in the off season, so in closing, anything you want to touch about? Anything you want to touch on real quick before we move on to getting this thing wrapped up?
Good.
No.
All right.
Hopefully
Well,
we get some action going in the next couple of
yeah.
weeks.
So little over a week before everyone reports, so that'll be fun.
Yep.
Next week they'll be reporting. We'll get to get all those wonderful Forrest Whitley updates of him throwing.
Can't wait.
Look, can't wait.
Can't
So
wait.
excited. So excited.
Well, it's
I
either
don't
him or
even-
McCullers. Which one do y'all want?
Is
Hard
McCullers going to
pass.
bring his coffee? Do we
I mean,
get
they're
free
both-
coffee?
At least Whitney's not taking up 15 million a year.
There you go. See, there's a positive.
But so like and share, subscribe. It helps us. It helps us get the Dome Foamers podcast a name out there. Neil will put something up for someone to win a fan favorites from Two Gringos Chupacabra and the great people there. Like, subscribe, rate, review, give us feedback. If there's things you want us to touch on, if there's questions you have during the week, reach out. We've got Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all of it. The missing one, YouTube, absolutely. Yeah, so appreciate everyone listening to episode 38, and we will wrap this bad boy up. With that being said, hold on. Real quick, UIL, get a clue when you're doing realignment. Just want to throw that out there. I was asked to put that in a podcast. You know,
Victoria,
when you have a district that you've been in for almost 3+ decades, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 realignments, that's 85 miles away, and there's 4 or 5 teams there. The good thing UIL would be to send them 180 miles, and 140 miles, and 120 miles. I mean, I don't get on many soapboxes. Well, yes, I do, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who drew that map?
You're talking about Victoria's realignment.
Yes. Who drew that?
That's insane.
Miesky, I know y'all went through it. I don't. How?
Yeah.
So just to give some background, Victoria went from in their district was who?
Moody, Miller, Ray,
Corpus,
Carroll,
right?
Corpus.
Teams.
Yes.
Not far from Victoria, Texas. Not
85 miles.
Not far
for all of their games, by the way.
Right.
Vets Memorial goes up. You know, they go to 5A Division 1. So the rest of the schools stayed 5A Division 2. They've sent, instead of keeping Victoria West in that district, and you know, maybe adding a Gregory Portland who was added to that district, they decided to send them to Kerrville, Tybee, Bernie, Alamo Heights, and San Antonio Vets.
Yeah.
On a bus, Victoria through downtown San Antonio to Kerrville is at least 3.5 hours on a bus.
Yeah.
Has to be.
That's rough.
It takes me 1 hour and 15 to get to Kerrville from where I'm at New Braunfels, and that's if I'm in a car going 80 miles an hour. So
yeah,
didn't mean to get on a soapbox, but I wanted to put that out there.
But you know who won't care next year when he's got a winning record? Coach Boyce. He won't care. He won't care one bit.
No, man, he'll get him going. It's just common sense.
If there's anybody that can do it, it's Coach Boyce. Tell you what.
Neil, how was Old Giddings realignment? I know we talked briefly about it.
It was different. It was a little bit different. We had been I guess the main thing here is we picked up Belleville, who I don't know if you heard of them.
Good.
They played in the state championship. So picked up them and picked up Madisonville, which always pretty salty program. So we've got a work cut out for us, to say the least. Picking up two big ones, and we lost Gonzalez and Smithville. So we kind of went a little bit east, I guess you could say. So,
all right.
Play who they play.
Yeah, New Braunfels in my world, we went down from 6A to 5A Division 1 because we're opening up a new school. And it didn't get any easier. We got to back with Smithson Valley, which we belong. We belong with Smithson Valley since it's right down the road.
Yeah.
And some other schools, but it'll be fun. You follow a lot more when your kids are involved, you know?
or it's your job.
Yeah, true.
Or that's your gig. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, with that being said, Go Strokes.
Go Stros.
Go Stros.